Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today from Mattel. In their WWE Championship Showdown series, we are featuring series number 16, the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And this features the new articulation scheme for 2024. So the bodies are kind of updated with better articulation. As you can see, the figure comes with HBK's championship belt right there. Nice portraits to a bygone era of wrestling. And we have the British Bulldog and Shawn Michaels. Bulldog comes from Manchester, England. His finisher is the running power slam. He's a powerhouse. HBK is a high flyer from San Antonio, Texas. His finisher is Sweet Chin Music, the super kick. Other figures include Lesnar vs. Lashley and Ronda vs. Liv. I saw these other two sets at the store, but I just opted just to get this one just because I really wanted a Bulldog from this era. Okay, so this action figure portrays Bulldog and Shawn Michaels from Monday Night Raw, October 28th, 1996. It was kind of like during the early days of DX. They did have another match that followed the following year, I think in Birmingham, England, at an In Your House. And that was a pretty significant match because I think since Bulldog was on home turf, everyone expected him to win. But he didn't. So I think fans went home really upset. But this is a great figure set from the Monday Night Raw. Alright, let's take a look at the accessory first. We have HBK's WWF Championship from the time. It looks really nice. And let's take a look at the figures themselves. Let's start with HBK, Shawn Michaels. Shawn's hair is always hard to do. The facial sculpt looks perfect. I mean, this really captures, that year. It's a much younger Shawn. But for me, it's kind of weird because, I was first introduced to Shawn Michaels, way back in AWA Wrestling when he was the Midnight Rockers with Marty Jannetty. This was, years prior to him being in the WWF. I always kind of felt like HBK and Marty Jannetty, they were kind of like knockoffs of the Rock and Roll Express. But, once he went to WWF, especially when he broke off on his own, he kind of just really, really carved a path for himself and became, one of the greatest single wrestlers of all time. The gear really embodies the look he had on that Monday Night Raw back in '96 with the black, silver, and red color scheme. He has the broken hearts. He has the painted on kick pads over his boot, or the kick pads are actually molded onto the boots, but the straps appear to be painted on. He has the gloves with the wristbands, the tattoo, and it's pretty decent. The only thing he's really missing is his entrance vest, but it's pretty cool. I kind of wish they'd give him a much more vibrant expression. Maybe something with a little bit more arrogance. But it's decent. It's a very solemn, calm, neutral expression, but I think it works for the figure. In terms of articulation, his head swivels. The hair does get in the way a little bit, but it does kind of move. They have the articulated arms, elbow swivel and elbow bend, only single pin, articulated wrists, swivel at the waist. And the improved articulation for 2024 is actually around the hips instead of kicking strictly up and down, you know, they go up, down, but they can also go off to the side. So if you want to recreate HBK doing his super kick, you know, you could do that. The knees bend, and the knees are still just as stiff as before. I don't want to force it. And then he does have a boot swivel, and that's pretty much the extent of his articulation. Very solid figure. You know, I think it's a great value for the 2-pack. So yeah, it looks awesome. Next we have Davey Boy Smith. This figure, I don't know if he's very kind of pale. Not that he's been known to like have like a deep tan, but I kind of wish he was a little bit darker. You know, maybe a shade or two darker. He's kind of, not that he's pale, but I remember when I saw this at the store, my first thought was, I don't remember Davey Boy looking as, you know, anemic like this. I always kind of thought he had a richer flesh tone. His head does look a little bit oversized. He actually looks more like Davey Boy Jr. Than Davey Boy Sr. But it's a good figure. I'm really partial to Davey Boy back in the day when he had like the long braided hair. And again, he's one of those wrestlers I grew up on. I remember back in, might have been like '84, WWF was touring through Chicago, and of course they went to the Allstate Arena, but back then it was the Rosemont Horizon. And I saw the Bulldogs, I saw Davey Boy and Dynamite Kid take on the Hart Foundation. And for me, that was like one of the my favorite matches on the card. To this day, it still left a very deep impression on me. And you know, back then, you know, the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation were kind of like the epitome of tag team wrestling in the WWF. I like the tassels over the biceps. I'm not sure if those are the same ones as we've seen on the Warrior figure. Articulation, you know, again, more of the same. Nothing strikingly different than the figure we just looked at. And again, he does have the new articulation in the hips. Allows him to kick forward and out. Again, the very tight knee joints. You know, like I said, I don't want to force it, but they are movable. And then he does have the fringe over his boots, much like he did in real life. So overall, I think it's a fantastic value, wonderful set. If this is your era of wrestling, you know, the early days of the Attitude Era, I think it's well worth the purchase. You know, they're both standout looking figures, especially for this price point. You know, if you have young ones, it's great because you're getting 2 figures. If you're an older collector, you know, these are nice historical pieces. You know, they're not on the same level as like an elite action figure, which features more articulation and better accessories. But if you're, you know, if you're a somewhat casual action figure collector, I think the basic line is, you know, awesome. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.